waning years of the Cold War, the Department of Continental Logistics found itself paralyzed by its own design. Charged with the overseeing of the Frostline Pacific Railroad, a system meant to revolutionize the cryotech transportation across the continent, the committee struggled to manage even the most basic day-to-day operations. Progress slowed to a crawl. Promising innovations were buried beneath the layers of red tape. Meetings dragged on without resolution. And while the bureaucrats debated protocol, passengers endured delays, and vital cryogenic shipments destined for corporate America sat idle in frozen yards. The Frostline was supposed to be a symbol of natural resilience. Instead, it had become a cautionary tale of institutionalized inertia. Recognizing the urgency, the vice president issued a directive. The FPR needed a singular voice, a leader, a director who cut through the gridlock and restored momentum of the rails. The committee members didn't hesitate. They knew exactly who to call. Dr. Corey Renford was more than a candidate. He was a legend in the making, a former Union Pacific executive with deep roots in the rail industry and a reputation for visionary thinking. Renford had already left his mark on the DCL. He proposed the name Frostline and Pacific, having heard it whispered among the rail workers as a kind of mythic shorthand for the icy corridor that stretched across the Rockies. It was he who championed the controversial merger of the Amtrak and the FPR merging, arguing that not only a unified system would withstand the logistical demands of the cryo-powered future. Renford understood the stakes. He knew that the cryotech wasn't just a tool, it was the Cold War's silent weapon. And he knew that the railroad was his delivery system. The committee didn't just nominate him, they entrusted him with a legacy. By 1991, after months of deliberation, political wrangling, and behind-the-scenes lobbying, Congress finally approved the appointment of Dr. Corey Renford as the inaugural director of the Frostline and Pacific Railroad. The confirmation had taken nearly a full year, an eternity in the eyes of frustrated passengers and corporate stakeholders, with railroaders alike. But when Renford raised his hand and took the oath, it was more than a bureaucratic formality. It was the ignition of a new era. Renford wasn't a byproduct of Capitol Hill. He was a man of the yards, the switches, the long-haul freights, a former Union Pacific executive who had climbed the corporate ladder with grit and vision. He carried the soul of a brakeman, the mind of a strategist. Among the rail workers, he was known not for his title, but for his listening ear. It was their stories, shared over midnight shifts and frostbitten couplings, that the first heard whispers of the name Frostline, a name born from lore, not legislation. Renford didn't just adapt it, he championed it, presenting to the Department of Continental Logistics more than just branding. It was the identity for all North America. His vision extended beyond nomenclature. Renford was the first to seriously advocate for the merger of Amtrak and the FPR, believing that a unified passenger freight corridor was essential to the national resilience of the Frostline. He understood the stakes. Cryotech wasn't just innovation, it was the infrastructure. It was the Cold War's silent weapon, and the railroads were its arteries. From the moment he took office, it was clear. Renford wasn't just the right man for the job, he was the only man for the job. Under his leadership, the Frostline would gain not just direction, but destiny. History would not remember him as a mere administrator. It would remember him as a founder, a visionary, the father of the Frostline. Dr. Renford wasted no time. Within weeks of his appointment as director of the Frostline Pacific Railroad, he made a bold, irreversible decision to establish the FPR's national headquarters in Salt Lake City, Utah. To outsiders, this choice may have seemed unconventional, but to Renford, it was inevitable. Utah was more than just a geographical midpoint to the west. It was a strategic keystone. Nestled between mountain and desert, it sat at the crossroads of the continental freight, passenger corridors, and cryotech distribution. And more importantly, it was the home of something extraordinary. In the Echo Canyon Mountains, just east of the Utah cities, geologists had recently confirmed the presence of cryotherium, a rare crystalline compound capable of stabilizing cryogenic energy at industrial scale. Its discovery was a turning point. Cryotherium wasn't just a resource, it was the lifeblood of the Frostline, and Utah was sitting on a vein. Renford's vision extended beyond the mineral deposits. He saw the Wasatch Front, the urban corridor stretching from Ogden to Salt Lake City to Provo, as a triad of power. Each city housed a massive rail yard, dormant but brimming with potential. Under Renford's directive, these yards will be transformed into the beating chambers of the Frostline system. Ogden will become the center of the restoration and retrofitting, where aging locomotives were reborn with cryoreactors and frost-hardened steel. Salt Lake City would serve as a command nexus, housing the FPR's administrative core, cryolabs, and strategic dispatch. Provo were involved into a forge of innovation where engineers and dreamers pushed the boundaries of cryotech, real logistics, and mythical integration. Together, these three cities formed a living circuit of outer loop of energy, movement, and transformation. Cryotech pulsed outward from the Wasatch Front like blood from a heart, feeding the limbs of a frozen nation. And under Renford's leadership, the Wasatch Front was no longer just a stretch of rail. It became a symbol, a sanctuary, the source. It became the heart of the Frostline. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, feel free to like, comment down below, and subscribe to the Mythical Railway. Also, you can support the channel at subscribestar/RayronVR to become a Dragon Star. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.